Welcome back, travelers, to the 10th color pair color test results. As you can see, this is the black-white episode. We've already covered the previous 9 dual color combinations, and we will in the future cover more things such as the monocolor, tricolor, and of course no color combination. So like every color combination previously talked about, you can be primary black or primary white. Yes, theoretically you could be exactly the same on both, but for the purposes of the way we do things in the color test itself, black and white, you have to pick one that's more common. So to just describe these things, I use either the lawyer or the preacher. Now, out of all the different color combinations and the names I gave to all the different results, I feel the least confident in the white-black designation of the preacher. Not necessarily because the preacher doesn't fall into that particular thing, but that the white-black color combination has a bit more to it than it feels a little too pigeonholed as far as the way things will work. That said, let's just get back into it. So we usually start off by looking at the shared enemy. I'm aware that when you are talking about the shared enemy, you kind of have to already know about what the enemy stands for and is against and all that stuff. But looking at it from this perspective, it kind of makes a lot of sense. Red-green is the opposite color of black-white as far as looking at the color wheel and how things go in that scenario, despite the fact that everything's connected the way it is. But looking at red-green, it's disordered. It's basically just unfair. There's no structure given to things. If somebody can pull something out of luck, then they are the ones that win. Red is fine with luck. Green is fine with brute force. But white-black looks at that as like, that's not quite right. Power should come from something. It should come from the structure. And it's because of that that the common desire for black-white, for the Orzhov color combination, or the Silverquill color combination, is that the system works. Now, what exactly that means, the system works, is entirely different depending on which of the facets you want to focus on. It is worth noting that as far as white-black goes, they tend to look at things in a very black and white kind of thing. Either you're for something or you're against something. And that's a lot of the way that things kind of get churned up. So looking at first off, the lawyer side of things, which a lot of people pretty much get the immediate gist. Oh, it's the lawyer. They use the structure, they use the way things work, the law, the rules, all these different things. They use them specifically to get to an end goal. So in the case of black-white, the system works for me. I know all the rules, I know everything that's allowed, everything that you can kind of just do, and that's really the main thing, the main driving force behind the black-white color combination. You squeeze out every little bit of what you can out of everything. It doesn't make you corrupt. I know that a lot of times whenever you look at these characters and stuff, especially in older magic stories, the black character, the characters defined by black mana, at least as a primary color, they're always bad guys. But that's not the case. Because lawyer, the point of being a lawyer, look at the Ace Attorney series, you're trying to squeeze out as much as you can out of the rules that you can within the confines of your arena. And that's really what black-white's whole deal is. I call it the lawyer because it fits so well. The white-black side of things is slightly different. So for white-black, it's about spreading the system. The system works for everyone. Everyone should use this particular system. If I have an ideology, if I have a rule set that I abide by, everyone either abides by that rule set or is wrong. You can see that with instead of looking at the Orzhov side of things, where you had a person like the lawyers that I was talking about, you can look at Silverquill, where it's about building people up. You're talking and you're using words, and words are super important. And words are the system that you use to make sure things go a specific way. There's a way to do everything. And that's part of the reason why I went with the preacher, because the preacher's whole deal is you are finding a way to reach people and expand the influence of your system. Of course, being religion in that particular case. That's not the case all the time. Another great thing that I can just talk about between the two of them, both black-white and white-black, is calamity. So when it comes to calamity, or just things going bad in general, this is the color combination on both ends that works fantastically. Not necessarily because they know what to do immediately, but they know how to handle things according to the rules they already abide by. What I mean by that is that if something happens, they can jump on it and enforce their structure into the chaos. For Black-White, that has to do with something like, oh, did you just get in a car crash? I know exactly what to do to get you what you need. Well, in the case of White-Black, this bad thing just happened. I know exactly how to help you. Let me go into this space and give you the structure you need. In both scenarios, they're basically saying the exact same thing, but they have slightly different motivations about it. Point being that they're both opportunistic. They both look for these opportunities to jump on it and get that whatever it is they want. Their motivations may be slightly different, their end goal might be slightly different, but their methods are surprisingly similar. Like I was saying, their strength is that they are informed. If you go into their arena and you show up expecting to win, whoever the white character is, if you're in their house, there's no way to beat them. Because blue is the common ally of black and white, it makes it so that you look at it along the lines of, okay, this common ally has a similar weakness. Whenever something happens to kind of shake up the system, when something happens that is outside of the black-white control, then things get out of hand. Whenever you watch a movie about like maybe a mob boss or a bunch of goons, and John Wick shows up and just starts destroying everything, it's because works outside the system. There's no way to get around him. Whenever you see corrupt governments or corrupt companies and stuff like that, and you have that one character who's a man on a mission kind of thing, then everything kind of falls apart for the bad guys because they have their specific structure. So that's the main weakness that Black-White runs into, is that if a person hits you with something that does not fit your specific rule set, you don't have the right ways to deal with it. You have to figure out a way to impose your rules onto it. And now for the funnest part of the entire episode, the hero and the villain. So, basically, for the hero, I went with Scrooge McDuck. Now, I know that Scrooge McDuck has had a variety of portrayals. I'm, of course, referring just in general to the way Scrooge McDuck works. He is capitalism incarnate. He's a little greedy. He's definitely a greedy guy, but he's not a bad guy. He knows how the system works. He knows how powerful money can be, and he utilizes it appropriately. He is also an adventurer, and he does it because he knows he can gain more power by finding these things. And then he just accrues all the power. He hoards all the power for himself, and then he uses it to help those that are around him with some coaxing. So he kind of fits that whole ideology. There is, I can see, definitely an argument for him being Mardu, but because the triple color thing is a whole other project, I decided Black-White makes a ton of sense for Scrooge McDuck. For the villain, I mulled it over. I wanted to make sure I got a good one. I didn't want it to just be some mob boss or some lawyer or something along those lines. I wanted to make sure that the Black-White villain was a real bad dude who fit the white-black ideology. The one who was closer to the preacher than it was to the lawyer. It might be slightly spoilery. It is a My Hero Academia character named All For One. His whole deal, and again, a little spoilery, so you might want to leave if you don't want to be here to hear that, or go watch the series or whatever. But basically the way it works is All For One knows the way the Quark society functions. He knows the way that superpowers mean real power. Superpowers are the only way to be able to really get ahead in life. He also happens to have the power to take powers away from people and give it to others. He's aware that sometimes you'll have a power that just makes you miserable. And so what he does is that if somebody is hurting from their power, like say they have like giant spikes shooting out of their face, then he can take away their power and give them a normal face. And then somebody else wants that power to shoot spikes out of their face, he gives them that same thing. And so this dichotomy is created where he's helping people on both ends. He's giving people exactly what it is they want in the society that it has been focused around how quarks function. And as a result, both the now normal people and the newly quirky people are both indebted to All For One. He now has power over them. So much so that he doesn't even have to tell them to do things. If something happens and something like somebody speaks out against All for One, then basically his disciples will go and they'll wreck shop. And what's really important about that is that he himself, super evil dude, is working within the confines of how things should go, according to the society that he was in. Up until the point where, of course, All Might shows up and he destroys the structure that All for One had created. And when he destroys it, All for One is labeled as a villain. He is much weaker and he has to kind of rebuild and relearn the way the society works. And it's a really cool way to see, from the villain's perspective in certain episodes, the way that he adapts. It takes him years, but he adapts. And he becomes more well acquainted and masters the Quark society as it exists, and is able to pull it, again, spoilers, pull it down back to his level. And he's able to reassert his dominance over society by reimposing his order. He does not aim for perfection. He wants a society that he can control. And that is very much in the black-white Orzhov, Silverquill, lawyer-preacher wheelhouse. And with that, we've just finished the dual color combinations. I also want to just say I'm surprised we actually hit 200 as quickly as we did. So I'm really excited about that. Once we hit 250, I will release a video covering all the tricolor combinations. It's going to be a big one, so that's why I'm making it a much longer milestone so I can start working on it already and not worry about time. So yeah, thank you guys for watching, and until next time, travel well.